Au nom de l'Alliance de recherche numérique du Canada, je vous souhaite la bienvenue. The Digital Research Alliance of Canada is happy to welcome you to this webinar. The title of the webinar is Innovative Solutions for Data Management Challenges, an Introduction to FRDR and Lunaris. Des solutions novatrices aux enjeux de gestion des données, une introduction au FRDR et à Lunaris. I want to start the webinar with a land acknowledgement. So I respectfully recognize and acknowledge the relationship that the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis across Canada have with the land all Canadians live on and enjoy. I recognize human rights of people who suffered of systematic racism and discrimination in Canada. Today, we can also provide a space with this webinar. So the Alliance seeks to provide a welcoming, engaging, and safe community for everyone. So please consider that no discriminatory language or harassment in any form will be tolerated during the webinar. And I am happy today to welcome Lee Wilson, is the director of the RDM team at the Alliance, and he will present the team that will be the presenter of the webinar. My name is Mireille Dastou, and I am the training specialist at the Alliance. Alors, je vais souhaiter maintenant la bienvenue à Lee Wilson, qui est le directeur de la gestion des données de recherche à l'Alliance, et il pourra vous présenter l'équipe qui vous présentera le webinaire aujourd'hui. Alors, merci à tous de vous être rejoints. Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here.
Great, thanks so much, Mireille. Hi everyone, I'm Lee Wilson, Director for Research Data Management at the Alliance, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be introducing this webinar, which represents the culmination of years of hard work and dedication from the Discovery Service redesign project team, the working group associated with the project, and the FRDR service team. So really from the early days of FRDR, the idea of a robust integrated map search has been among our top feature priorities. And it's been quite a journey to get us here, starting of course with the Canary Research Software funded Geodesy project that was led by the team at the University of British Columbia, which built the foundation for then what would later become our FRDR map search. In that process, we had to integrate Geodesy into FRDR's workflows and processes in the back end before we could even start imagining what a redesigned and integrated front end might look like. As that project progressed and got underway, it soon became clear that in order for the redesigned Discovery Service to fully come into its own, it needed to be launched as a standalone platform. And this meant that FRDR also needed to be redesigned and rethought, with a new primary focus on the repository services that it provides. I'm very proud of what our teams and partners have accomplished, and this new and improved National Discovery Service meaningfully advances the fairness of Canadian research data and ensures that it's going to be even more readily discoverable by a wide range of users. The launch of both of these enhanced and redesigned platforms, in addition to last summer's launch of the rebranded Borealis platform and the latest version of the DMP Assistant that was launched in January, speaks to a strong growth in Canada's national RDM services. And this is a trend that we're going to see continue through the additional funding that's been secured through the MYFP. So I'd like to extend a sincere thank you and a congratulations to the members of the now Lunaris and FRDR service teams, both past and present, on this wonderful accomplishment. So before I hand things over, I'll do a quick introduction of the presenters and our support team. From the Lunaris side, we have Mark Goodwin, Product Lead for Discovery Services at the Alliance. And for FRDR, we have Neha Milan, Product Lead for FRDR, and Aaron Clary, Curation Coordinator at the Alliance. Jen Pekoski, RDM Project Coordinator, and Lena Harper, Data Curation Officer, will be in the chat providing support and helping out with the Q&A. And as you've already seen, Mireille Dastou, Training Specialist for the Alliance, is our host for today's webinar. So with that, I'll turn things over to Mark to start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee. Appreciate that welcome, and also the background there. Yeah, my name is Mark. I'm very excited to be speaking about Lunaris and the launch of Lunaris today. So we'll get right into it here. This is an overview of what we'll be talking about in the next 20 minutes or so before I pass it off to the FRDR folks. So I'll introduce Lunaris, a bit of background about what Lunaris is, do an overview of the software processes that Lunaris uses, background on the project that led to the creation of Lunaris, and then a platform demonstration, followed by a few notes about next steps and our full production launch. So Lunaris, in a nutshell, it is a national research data discovery service that is provided by the Alliance as one of its core research data management services. A little more information on this slide. So Lunaris has launched as a beta version about 2 weeks ago now, at the end of March there. So the intention right now, we've launched it kind of like a soft launch, and we're welcoming feedback from the research community around, you know, how you're finding the site. There have been a few minor issues that have come up that we're working on, or if you have, you know, any feedback around improvements that you might like to see, we're welcoming all that right now. The full production launch will be coming in May. So the intention with this period was to kind of have a soft launch period where we can, you know, release it to the community and get some feedback in advance of the full production launch. It's formerly part of the Federated Research Data Repository, FRDR, as Lee mentioned, as the discovery service. So now it's separated. Lunaris is its own discovery platform, and FRDR remains as the repository curation services, that kind of thing. More on that from Neha and Aaron in a little bit. But back to Lunaris, it's a scalable and bilingual platform with integrated text and map-based search functionality, information about data sets in the form of metadata records. So descriptive information records about data sets are harvested from repositories and made available for discovery. There are currently over 80,000 data sets from over 100 or about 100 Canadian repositories discoverable in Lunaris. So those data sets come from a variety of research-based repositories, universities, including the Borealis Dataverses, government repositories at all levels, domain-specific repositories, so think research centers and that kind of thing, and also national repository initiatives like FRDR itself. Highlighting a few features here, there is the text-based search that's powered by Globus Search, and the map-based search, Lee mentioned Geodesy, so the UBC-based initiative. I used to work with Geodesy, and that's what powers the map search now. Filtering and advanced search options are also available. There is a citation generator, and coming soon, a geospatial data preview. So if you were familiar with the Geodesy search before, you might remember there is a preview of the geospatial data. If there is a geospatial file included in the data set, then there's a preview on the record page. So that is not there now, but it will be back soon. We're aiming for full production launch for that. Benefits of Lunaris. So it's a specialized tool that is focused on discovery of research data It breaks down repository silos by creating a single point of search that's really just focused on discovery, so users don't have to search across the varied landscape of repositories in Canada. At the same time, though, it's meant to be a mutually beneficial setup. So we provide the discovery and also drive traffic back to existing repositories. So if users want to access the data sets, they want to download the data, or they want to see perhaps more fulsome metadata, those are all things that we drive the traffic back to the repository sites for. It also creates interoperability between Canadian and international platforms. So the Lunaris index is also available to harvest by other groups. And there are a few more international initiatives that do that. And I will highlight those in a moment. Moving now to a software overview. This is a kind of a visual representation of the Lunaris software. So you can see the funnel shape there includes the different sources that we pull metadata records from. So those are brought in via our metadata harvester and crosswalk. So the metadata is crosswalked from its source repository schema to Lunaris's metadata schema, which is a basic schema that includes elements of Dublin Core, DataSite, and a few geospatial ones that we've added in as well, but a fairly basic discovery schema. And then it goes to our harvest database and then is served up on the interface for users to search for. I mentioned that around international interoperability. So our feed is available for harvest via this OAI PMH feed is what it's called. So currently Lunaris, the Lunaris index is also available in OpenAir, which is an EU initiative that's an international discovery layer. The second two there, Data Citation Index and ProQuest CDI, are library-based technologies. So Web of Science, for example, uses Data Citation Index, and the ProQuest CDI that serves metadata up to discovery layers that are used by libraries. So for example, like the summon discovery layer, that can show up in library discovery platforms. This is a quick list of some of the other software components we've kind of reused in building Lunaris. So the FRDR harvester that was built with FRDR discovery. I don't know if we're going to start calling it the Lunaris harvester now. Globus search provides text and geospatial searching and filtering. Geodesy, as mentioned, is the map search. GDAL and GeoServer both support how we process geospatial files and geospatial data. And GeoBlacklight provides the interface itself. So we've taken GeoBlacklight and customized it to create what Lunaris is now. A little bit of background here about the project that led to the creation of Lunaris. So the FRDR Discovery Redesign project began back in 2021. So at that time, as Lee mentioned, we had built an instance of Geodesy on FRDR. So there was a map search and then also the pre-existing text-based search, and they were two separate interfaces. It was never really meant to be a long-term solution, so it presented an opportunity to kind of refresh everything with the intention of integrating the map and the text-based searching, and also just using it as an opportunity to improve features and functionality across the board. And also, we were becoming part of the Alliance at that time, so aligning with the Alliance's branding and all that kind of stuff. That's was kind of why it came about. The work's been supported all along by an internal project team and also the FRDR Discovery Redesign Working Group. So this is a working group made up of experts across Canadian institutions who essentially volunteered their time to help shape this project. And you know, it was a pretty time intensive at times. I think we were meeting every 2 weeks for the better part of a year at one point to you know, make decisions around design and all that kind of stuff. So that group really had a huge impact in shaping what Lunaris is now. It was a very collaborative process. This is a list here of project activities that we went through over the last few years. I don't think I'll go through everything on here. I just kind of wanted to give an idea of what went into the design of Lunaris. I'll just highlight a few things. We wanted to make sure throughout the entire process that we were really taking user feedback and user needs into account. So the research community, we did several rounds of user testing. We also, you know, developed some of these groups to provide input, the working group being the main one. The modules you see here, what we did when we went into the real kind of nitty-gritty of the design process is we broke down different, kind of based on different design topics into what we call these modules. And this allowed us in working group meetings and internal meetings to go really in depth into these different areas while still maintaining a specific scope. So that was really helpful around you know, collaborative decision making, and it really led to a nice output at the end of it. I also mentioned, you know, it's bilingual, so we had the French language translation and review. It's available in a full French site as well. So I'll move now to do a demonstration. Just bear with me a moment, and I'm going to switch to a different browser here. All right. So here we have Lunaris. It's still exciting and kind of surreal to come to it after you've been working on it for so long, and then seeing it live is every time I come to the homepage, I get a little bit excited. But this is what you'll find. Hopefully, the first thing you'll notice is the keyword search right front and center here. There are options for map search and an advanced search right underneath that search bar. Then if you scroll down, you'll see some information about what Lunaris is and what kind of information you might expect to find at Lunaris. There are some featured source repositories here, just to kind of give a sense of what kind of where the data is coming from. This is just a random selection that preloads every so often. We're not privileging anyone at this time, although I am accepting bribes if anyone's interested in that. But right now, it's just a random selection of repositories. For a full list of source repositories, you can go up to the menu here and click on this source repository list. And then there are a few options for sorting in here, and you can see, you know, how many records we have from various repositories. We try to give some description. We're trying to pull those from re3 data to provide descriptions here. There's also a metrics page that gives some metrics around searching, search terms. There's also going to be a dataset views metric coming up. So some of it we've been able to pull from the previous discovery platform that was part of FRDR, but some of it we're starting anew. So the dataset views, for example, is not here yet because we're waiting until, you know, it kind of shapes up after launch. So it's actually interesting when we present it on here. So that'll be coming soon. There's a user guide with some information about how to use the site, how to do searching and that kind of thing, and then also a contact us form. So I'll go back to the home page now and show you what it looks like to perform a search. So I'll enter a keyword here. So this is the search results page. The first thing you might notice is the list of results here. So you're seeing everything here with climate keyword somewhere in the metadata, whether that's the title or description or so forth. There are filters on the left-hand side. You can filter by source repository or publication date, author. If I click on one of these filters, it's going to track my search string here in this search details box. There's also an advanced search at the top here. So you can build out based on, these are all the fields, metadata fields that we pull information from. So you can search by all of them here and build a search that way. And then the map on the right-hand side. So to turn on the map, you just toggle this limit by map area button, and it's going to populate results that have a location associated with them. So this is something we really wrestled with for a while, how to communicate that here. So you can see this results number changes to show that of the 2015 results I have with the climate keyword and the source repository Open Data Canada, 802 of those have a location associated with them. So it's kind of trying to explain the map filter here when it's turned on. We've introduced these clusters. This is a new feature with Lunaris. So it's just meant to give kind of a visual idea of where the data is located on the map. It's interactive, so you can click through on the clusters. You can also click on the pins to see what data is there. Likewise, when you're scrolling through the results, you might, if you're familiar with geodesy, this is the same kind of thing where if you hover over a result, you'll see the associated location of that data on the map in the form of a bounding box. So that's the blue boxes there. Now, if I click on through to a record, you'll get descriptive metadata here. As I said, the geospatial preview, that's going to be coming. That's going to show up on the record page here. I mentioned there's a access the dataset link here. So that's going to take you to the source repository. There's also a citation generator on the record page here. So that is about it for the demonstration. We're really excited about having the map search integrated here and having the ability to, both do a keyword search and also integrate map searching in the same interface. If location is a significant aspect of the topic you're searching for, it can be really powerful to be including the map in what you're doing rather than having to put in, a bunch of keywords to capture a place. You can just zoom to that location on a map. So we feel like this is a really exciting thing for that is now available to the community. I'm going to just jump back onto my slide deck here. I've got just a few slides left. Okay. All right. So next steps. We've got the full production launch coming up in May. May 17th actually is the date that we've finalized for that. So I mentioned the geospatial dataset previews that are coming for that. There's going to be an independent audit of the French language site. And then also we're making some kind of minor improvements that we've still got kind of on our list. And then any community feedback that comes in around if you find any bugs or issues or anything, a few of those have come up. So please do send those along and we'll work on fixing those up. This is a list of all the wonderful people that have contributed to this project. I get a very grateful feeling whenever I come to this slide because it really has been such a collaborative and team-based effort. A lot of people volunteering their time, whether it's in the form of the working group or elsewhere. All the individuals and groups here played a really major role in shaping the project. So a huge thanks to everyone. And lastly, again, please just give it a try, lunaris.ca. And if you have any feedback, do send it along to us, support@lunaris.ca. With that, I'll say thanks very much for listening. We're going to do questions at the end, but please send them into the Q&A, and we'll talk about those after we hear from Neha and Aaron about FRDR. So I'll turn it over to them now.
Thank you, Mark. The new site looks great. Thanks for walking us through that. And as Mark mentioned, the discovery service was previously part of the repository. So with the launch of Lunaris as a standalone platform for data discovery, we've undergone a few changes as well. So we'll switch gears slightly now, and Neha and I will provide a quick overview of the Federated Research Data Repository. I'll explain what FRDR is and who can use it, and I'll provide a very high-level overview of the publication workflow. Then I'll pass things over to Neha, who will show you how the site has changed, and she'll share some information about what to expect in the months ahead. So quickly, what is FRDR? The Federated Research Data Repository is a bilingual publishing platform for sharing and preserving Canadian research data. So our mission is to facilitate the findability, accessibility, and the reuse of Canadian research data, and to act as a leader in the stewardship of Canadian research data. The repository was developed as a collaboration between the Compute Canada Federation, the Canadian Association of Research Libraries, and a number of Canadian post-secondary institutions. FRDR launched in full production in February of 2021, and it's currently a national level service with funding administered through the Digital Research Alliance of Canada. Our work is further supported by the Alliance's Research Data Management Network of Experts, including members of the curation, the preservation, and the discovery and metadata expert groups, among others. And why should you use FRDR? So FRDR can help you comply with journal and funder data sharing requirements, help ensure that your data are discoverable and accessible beyond the original study, and preserve your research for future use. We are a curated general purpose data repository built for medium to large size data sets and open to Canadian researchers in any discipline. FRDR assigns a DOI to each published data set to facilitate citation, and we allow embargoes to temporarily protect data from download. We provide bit-level preservation for all data sets in FRDR, and our storage is distributed geographically on servers across Canada, so all the data are stored in Canada. Anyone can use FRDR to search for data, and Neha will provide an overview of the new search functionality and some other features in just a moment. As well, anyone can download data from the FRDR site. Data might be under a temporary embargo, but at this time, all of the data in FRDR will eventually be openly accessible. Each data set contains a license that specifies any restrictions on use. And while a FRDR account's not required to download data, you may need to install and configure Globus to access large files or data sets with many files. Our support team is available to help if you have questions or if you encounter issues with that. That said, a FRDR account is required to deposit data. So researchers affiliated with Canadian institutions that are eligible to receive tri-agency funding are eligible to deposit data in FRDR. Each new account has access to a default allocation of 1 terabyte of repository storage at no cost. And additional storage may be provisioned, although requests that far exceed that default allocation will need to undergo a review process. Again, if you have any questions about your eligibility to deposit data or the appropriateness of your data for the repository, we encourage you to contact us. We can help you get started as you prepare your data for deposit. I think my screen has stopped sharing. Is that true? Sorry, I hope you all can see the slides. And yeah, sorry, just to say again, like feel free to contact us if you have questions about eligibility or appropriateness of your data for the repository. So quickly, what does the deposit process look like? Once you've created an account, you can start one or more new deposits. Our team is available to consult over email or Zoom if you have questions about data sharing or preparing your data for deposit. We can review or help prepare documentation, share information about preservation friendly file formats, consult on data set structure, discuss potential sensitivities and review consent forms, and so on. If you're reusing data from an external source, we can review data sharing agreements or terms of use with you and help you determine what can be redistributed and under what terms. And we're also available to help you select an appropriate license if you have questions about that. So feel free to reach out. During the deposit process, you'll be asked to provide a high-level overview of your data set using metadata fields such as title, author, description, keywords. Some of the metadata fields in the submission form are required, while others are recommended to enhance the discoverability of your data. We strongly encourage you to include documentation and to submit open rather than proprietary file formats, so your data will remain accessible in the long term, but also be accessible in the short term. The web browser can be used to upload data sets with small files, so those say under 5 gigabytes, or if you have a small number of files in your data set, the web browser functionality can be used to drag and drop files, or you can browse to locate them on your personal computer. If you have large files or many files, we do encourage you to use Globus to upload your data. Globus will verify the integrity of the files you transfer, ensuring that the data we receive exactly match what is on your local machine. After your data are submitted, they'll undergo curation. At FRDR, this is a lightweight review process, which is completed internally by a member of our curation team. We review data using a standard set of steps, which we have adapted from a framework that was developed by the US-based Data Curation Network. We check files and documentation to help ensure compliance with our terms of use. And our ultimate goal is to enhance the findability, the accessibility, and the reusability of the data published in the repository. We can work with you to augment your metadata record, link out to related research outputs, choose an appropriate license, and so on. So many of the tasks here actually match what might happen during an initial consultation if you were to contact us ahead of the deposit process, but we're here to work with you sort of throughout the process, whether you choose to reach out ahead of deposit or not. And I do want to note here that we're not operating in isolation. Researchers are an integral part of the review and publication process, and a member of our curation team is working with the depositor to implement any recommended or required changes. Let's see. So when the review process has ended and any required changes are in place, your data set will be approved for publication. We'll register a DOI, which will lead directly to your data landing page and which can be used to cite your data. Unless an embargo is applied, the data are now available to download in our public interface. And FRDR data sets are indexed for discovery in Lunaris, and then in turn, data are indexed in OpenAIR, Google Dataset Search, ProQuest, and other platforms. At the point of publication, your data set also moves into the FRDR preservation pipeline. All content that's accepted into the repository is validated by checksums upon receipt. It will undergo bit level preservation, and it is securely backed up in geographically distributed storage locations across Canada. Content that's deemed to have long-term research value may be selected for preservation processing via Archivematica, which prepares the data for ongoing archival storage. And there is a spot in the submission interface where you can provide us with information about the long-term value of your data. And we do encourage you to participate in the appraisal process during deposit. So with that, I will turn things over to Neha so we can see what's new. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Erin. Good morning, afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to give you a demo of our rebranded, refreshed FRDR website. Let me quickly share my screen. I hope you can see my screen okay. All right, as you can see, we have entirely changed our homepage. The new design is clean and simple, making it easy for users to find what they are looking for. We have also included a Get Started on FRDR section to guide new users through the process, provide necessary links and resources, and help them know what to expect and when exactly. Moving down the page, you will find some product stats and a collection section. You can view details of a specific collection by simply clicking View Records. And if you would like to see the complete list of collections hosted by FRDR presently, you can click View All here. And this will give you a complete list of FRDR collections. Going back to homepage now. Right below the collections, we have included a short list of our recent data sets. We have also launched a mailing list. You can find it on the footer of our home page. Sorry, I might have, just a sec, sorry, I by mistake closed our website. So we have added a mailing list. You can find it on the footer of the home page, and you can sign up to this list to receive occasional email updates from FRDR on new feature announcements, upcoming events, webinars, service disruptions, and more. If you would like to hear more on FRDR, I would encourage you to join this mailing list. Also, we are constantly striving to improve FRDR, and we would love your feedback. That's why we have an ongoing user survey. You can find it on our homepage, where you can participate and share your thoughts on recently rolled out changes, report any accessibility issues, and what you would like to see FRDR work on next. We encourage you to take this survey when you have a chance. Now let's move on to FRDR search. So you can access it directly from the home page. And we have made significant changes on this page. We have refined faceted search on the left-hand side. We have collection, publication date, author, keyword, embargo state. Along with selecting values in dropdown, you can now also type and search within a filter. There is also a clear option within each filter that you can use to erase the added input. Also, you can use clear all to erase everything added in the faceted filter. Coming to advanced search, the advanced search feature is now even more powerful than before. You can search through all metadata fields using advanced search by simply clicking More Fields option here, and it will expand the list. The input mode for these metadata fields is exactly like what we have on our submission workflow. What I mean by that is, for example, for field of research, we have a drop down. Let me show you what we have for funders. So you can pick and choose metadata fields here to drill down and make your search more efficient. Let me just quickly do a quick advanced search for you. There you go. You can always combine faceted search with advanced search. Let me show you an example of that. So I'm just going to grab few collections, maybe add a date, and then I'm going to add a text-based search on title. So as you can see, the search query appears right below the search details, and clicking reset will allow you to start a fresh search. A new search is much easier to use, efficient and powerful than before, as it allows you to drill down your search results more effectively. Next, let me show you our site metrics page. So this page provides a clear picture of the performance and growth of the FRDR platform and our offered services. We have included few tabs here with useful charts and information on it. There is some user interaction available on few graphs. Like for example, on this one, you can look for a specific year. On datasets by status, you can filter by a specific status. You can always reset the dashboards by using this option below. You can forward these dashboards to your email or social platform. Also, you can download data points for these dashboards in these file formats for further analysis. We are always looking to expand these dashboards, so stay tuned for future updates. Finally, let me show you further documentation. So our bilingual documentation is an essential resource for learning more about our product and processes. And we have updated most of our document pages. We have added a few new ones too, like for downloading dataset. We have upgraded FAQs as well as about section. Also, we have done some minor touch-ups to our publication dashboard and other public pages. Overall, our website is designed to provide a seamless experience for searching, publishing, sharing, and preserving Canadian research data. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to ask in the chat box or after the presentation, or simply add it up to FRDR user survey. With that, I will shift gears and quickly run through some of the things we have upcoming for FRDR. I'm going to stop my screen and share slides now. All right, we have a few exciting things on the horizon for FRDR repository. Currently, you can set up a FRDR account using your ORCID ID and automatically add your ORCID to new deposits you start. And we are engaged in work to further integrate with ORCID ID. With this upcoming feature, FRDR could add to or update user ORCID records as items are submitted to the repository or as they are updated. We are expecting to deploy this feature in Q2. FRDR is also developing a new workflow that will allow researchers to selectively share data ahead of public release. For example, with a journal editor or maybe an international collaborator who isn't eligible to create FRDR account. The deposit process will remain much the same. However, you will have the option to select that. After curation, your data is kept private for peer review. This workflow has been refined based on an initial round of user acceptance testing, and we expect that this feature will be ready for deployment in Q2 this year. Last, but definitely not least, FRDR's Privacy, Policy, and Sensitive Data Coordinator, Victoria Smith, has been spearheading a sensitive data pilot project. The goals of this project are to augment the capabilities of FRDR to allow for the secure and controlled deposit and sharing of sensitive research data, and to support institutions and other repositories with sensitive data sharing and management. More information coming soon, stay tuned. Lastly, we have added a few links to the slide deck that may be useful for the audience. I believe slides will be shared after the presentation, so I will leave it at that and open up the floor for questions now. Thank you so much.